Hello and welcome. Very good evening to you all. You're watching NewsX. I'm Megha Sharma, and in the ambit of 8 years of Modi Sarkar, today there was a massive announcement that was made by Union Minister Hardeep Puri. Now, in his big announcement, he went ahead and said that the construction for the new Parliament building at the Central Vista Mega project of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on track and is set to be completed before the deadline. This means that the new Parliament building, in fact, will be ready for the winter session come November. The construction that began in 2020 December is now being completed in a little over 2 years. Now, this is a major revamp push by the Prime Minister of our country, who, Hardeep Puri said, has been overseeing this project development himself. Now, the new complex will have 888 seats in the Lok Sabha, 384 seats in the Rajya Sabha. And as we mark 8 years of Modi Sarkar and 75 years of Indian independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it is in fact an achievement that this flagship Delhi revamp project has been completed in record 2 years. So let's open up this discussion and quickly getting Shweta Shalini, who is a BJP spokesperson, on the broadcast with me. Shweta, this is another feather in the cap of the BJP, and this is 75 years of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav that the country celebrates. Not just that, this is also 8 years of Modi Sarkar. Did the decision of launching and inaugurating the new Parliament building perhaps in the coming couple of months, that's August 2022, the idea that was brought in because it is the 8 years that the BJP government is celebrating? Shweta, if you're able to hear me, please unmute yourself before you start talking.
Sorry, did you ask me anything? I couldn't
yes,
hear
Shweta, BJP spokesperson, I want a response from you about this mega project that is being launched before its due date. Has it got to do with 8 years of Modi Sarkar and the 2022 assembly elections and then the 24 Lok Sabha elections?
Why should everything be related to elections? See, it is the pride of India. For 93 long years, we've had an old Parliament building. Have you ever connected it to the elections? Second, if you remember when the project started, the whole aim and ambition of the project was that, and it was promised well in advance, that in 2022, the winter session will be held in the new building of the Parliament. And that's exactly what, in fact, everyone, every stakeholder in the country and every Indian should be proud that the Prime Minister has promised something to its people and the people of India. There was once a time when Delhi was known by the name Lutyens, because Mr. Lutyen, the architect, designed the entire Delhi. For the first time, the Indian architects are going to design and create a building which is going to be the pride of India, where the people's representative are going to sit. And once it was promised, everybody, every single stakeholder in this entire project is giving their heart and soul to ensure that promise of the Prime Minister is fulfilled, and the project lies right in front of us, in front of our eyes, fulfilling the same promise. So I think we should be extremely proud. There's no point to debate on this.
Okay, let's hear it from the Congress spokesperson, and Anshul Avijit joins me on the broadcast. And Anshul, do you agree to the points that have been made by Shweta, that it is a moment of pride for the entire nation, that from Lutyens Delhi, that was the colonial era, to what the real India, the new India, the actual nationalistic India looks like?
Nationalistic India, seriously, is that the word you want to give the new India? The new India came up in 1947, and this party or its ideological ancestor, its antecedents, the RSS, its parent body, had nothing to do with the creation of New India. I mean, I heard that, the architects of New India, we want to be that. They had nothing to do with nation building, of formation of parliamentary democracy. In fact, if you go back into the history of this party, into the history of RSS, they actively opposed India's independence. They were collaborators They didn't take part in the Quit India movement. In fact, when India got independence, they opposed the national flag. So you call this a moment of nationalism? You know what is happening? There is a deeper problem that is happening. And I'm really sorry that you use the words, this is another feather in their cap, as if there have been multiple feathers, including demonetization, including wrecking up this economy, including the high levels of inflation and berozgari that you see today, in the fact that you never ordered vaccines, which led to millions of deaths, the fact that there is Hindu-Muslim every day in the newspaper. You call accomplishment? I don't know what accomplishment you're talking about. Okay. I'll tell you what the deeper meaning of this relaying of the central vista is. You know, of course, a lot of people have said, I agree, of course, that there's a vanity project of somebody who considered himself an emperor, almost like, you know, Shelley's poem, we've all read it, Ozymandias, you know, look at me, I'm the king of kings, ye mighty in despair, and all that stuff. But, you know, there's a deeper, more profound meaning to what is happening. It's the completely dehistoricization of a part in which this government was never involved in. In fact, they'd never had any contribution to the building of modern India. Do tell me one, notwithstanding the 5 years of BJP rule, they have no contribution at all. If they do, please tell me, except obstruction, except causing hatred everywhere. So now what happens in the associations of this parliament is with people who developed India, were instrumental in establishing parliamentary democracy and all its great pillars. You know, the icons are there in the parliament, their portraits are there, their busts are there. Every time this reminds us of the people who built this country, and the BJP can't stand that. So they need to relay history in a way that their icons who, you know, shameless icons, you know, who actually glorified Hitler. And you read RSS history, you'll find out I'm not talking off my hat. This is something that cannot be right.
Okay, you've made your points. You made several of those points and accusations against the BJP. Let me get an Alok Mehta on the broadcast with me. Alok Mehta, do you agree?
Can I come in?
Do you agree? Let me get an Alok Mehta. I'll come back to you, Shweta. Alok, do you agree with the kind of statements that have been made by Anshu, that BJP has no achievements except for the last 8 years that it has been in power? It has no relevance when it comes to India's freedom struggle, and the icons that BJP at this point of time is venerating have got nothing to do with India's independence, which was solely the contribution of the Congress.
Well, actually, we are discussing Indian Parliament, the new building. So certainly there is a democracy, and that's why our guest is speaking something in a political manner, and that's why the BJP spokesperson will reply that. When I'm not going to reply, maybe I will give my impression. Certainly, Central Vista at the time of the COVID crisis, people were criticizing. The Pragati Maidan also developed in a new building, a new face. Some like it, some didn't like it. Same thing with the Indian Parliament. You know, Indian Parliament I was covering since 72. So I know the building is old. And if certainly Modi government want to make everything in a new chapter of Indian history, certainly in a democratic setup. I'm not going with the ideology and all, but everywhere. And this project, I think our friend doesn't know that this project was initially started by the Congress government. This plan was this Central Vista, and especially this new building was not planned by Mr. Modi and this government. Maybe because that's why Hardeep Puri was also part of those government at that time. He was in the Foreign Secretary and other posts also. And he was also served in United Kingdom. If I think our friend must be knowing, British Parliament is also going to change the whole building. It will take 10 years. Here we have a new building, maybe because they are modification or how they are doing, I'm going into details. That's why I'm saying that the problem is because if as a modern look, more members will come. I can understand how long the BJP can rule or any party. In democracy, everybody, they should ready it. Maybe in 2024 also some new government, and Congress is so powerful. Rahul Gandhi is sitting in London, so certainly he will get more support from there to get more majority. So maybe anybody can come, or coalition government will come. So that's why the new building will help. But one more point, new building is not enough. We need good people. They should also change the system. If there are criminal charge sheet there, they should not, it is the recommendation of the Election Commission. They should not be member of the parliament or any legislature in assembly. First thing I think in the 75 years of the independence, after changing the other rules and 370 and all, They should change this strictly. Even if from the BJP somebody have this charge sheet in court, and then they should not be in the parliament.
Okay.
If you clean the parliament, basic construction will be there and more democracy will be there, instead of just putting more criminals there.
Fair
or more
enough.
people, their background is corrupt,
Yeah,
then it's
fair
a
enough.
useless of this property.
You make a good point over there. And Joyita, I like to get a response from you. While it's all good to have a new building, fresh infrastructure, what is the need of the hour is to revive and transform the ecosystem from within, so as to segregate those who are corrupt, those who are criminals, and then never allow them back. These policy changes need to be made. These constitutional changes need to be adapted.
Yes, I think they can make a start in terms of election funding. You know, that is one area that needs to be cleaned up in a very big way. And the fact of the matter is that even though, according to the People's Representation Act of 1951, Indian political parties are not allowed to accept foreign funds, what has happened is that because of this electoral bond situation, because of this, FCRA, amendments and all, what has happened, they are able to take funds from abroad. And when it comes to electoral bonds and all, the donation level, it is not known really who is giving what money. So you see, until when we are talking about cleaning up the parliamentary proceedings, cleaning up our parliamentary system, I think let us first start with how our elections are funded. For that matter, even that cutting enough money that the Election Commission has for each Lok Sabha seat, or for that each assembly seat, the money that is the official, you cannot spend more than that. Everybody knows that that is not enough. So there has to be a realistic assessment of the kind of funding that is happening, the way our elections are being fought. So if we are going to talk about cleaning up the system, let's start from there.
Okay, all right. Coming back to the infrastructure that is going to be built, inaugurated perhaps by August 2022 or by October 2022, the winter session of the parliament commences November 26th. That happens to be the Constitution Day as well of our country. But Shweta, the allegations and the criticism that the BJP government and Prime Minister Narendra Modi faces in wake of his very ambitious project that is being completed before time is, why waste the taxpayers' hard-earned money? Thousands of crores have been put into this. Why could the Lutyens architecture not be continued as it has been for the last 75 years?
Is it for me?
This is for Shweta.
Okay.
Answer your question. Let me answer Anshulji's couple of queries. First and foremost, I would like to say that every time a Congress spokesperson speaks, I always remember this Hindi kahawat which says "Khisyani billi khamba noche," because they have absolutely no achievement. Their leader keeps partying outside of India. Unfortunately, the freedom that they need right now is from their own leader, from their own president. I can understand why they are also agitated. And obviously, every topic goes back to either RSS or, Indian flag. Having said that, let me also add, he spoke about something called as dehistorization. Now, please understand, history repeats itself and history is recreated, it is rewritten. And why not? It should be rewritten by the new generation, by the youth, by doing betterment, by doing better things, which we will leave for the next 200 years. This is a parliament today, and now I'm coming to your question. See, Dr. Anshul does not know, but it was Meera Kumar that actually proposed it first time, and Chidambaram ji, that this parliament should be made. The Central Vista project actually comes from the Congress regime. We just picked it up and ensured that it gets done, because for them, nothing gets done. When their whole committee cannot elect a president, nothing else can be expected to be done. Having said that, why don't we need it? Why do you think, you asked me the question, why waste people money? Why should this be wasted? This is something, for the first time, Indian people have got jobs in their own hands. Indian architects have had a chance to showcase their talent. Indian skill set, Indian architecture is going to be showcased to the entire world. And Indian pride is going to be sitting there with the Indian representatives across the world. You just heard either Alokji or Apurva say that even the UK Parliament is going to be made. Is there somebody asking a question, why should they not make it? We are the oldest democracy and we are the biggest democracy. We should be proud of the democracy that we in. This is the temple of democracy. Why should it be called wasting money? It is absolutely not wasting money. It is what we are doing for the next 200 years and the current generation to be proud of that, that this Central Vista project will represent. And on the Constitution Day, we will let it out and give it. And this is a tribute not only to Ambedkar ji, who actually wrote the Constitution, but to thousands and hundreds and lakhs of people who believed in India and participated in the freedom struggle and deserved the freedom that they got. Unlike what the Congress people thought that it was only a few
Shweta, you made your point. I'll come back to Anshul. And Anshul, I think the foremost charge that the project remained incomplete under Congress rule and the BJP is taking it forward. So why is Congress so up in arms?
A few things. You know, Shweta ji is absolutely right, and so is Alok ji. The Congress party, I know this very closely because I was involved in it. The Congress party at that particular time did wish for this parliament, the current building, to be actually restructured. I happen to know this very closely because my mother was Meera Kumar, who was the former speaker of the Lok Sabha. So let me put that disclosure right in front. And I was aware, as I've been told, that the parts of the parliament building was actually a fire trap. I'll go a step further and say and disclose some material that there were very senior leader in the UPA, and a part of the parliament building actually fell on his desk. There was a great danger of the parliament because it necessary repairs hadn't been done for a long time. You're absolutely right. Yes, the repairs was needed in the current parliamentary building, and it was suggested that the parliament actually move out for some time. This solid repairs, which would take about 3-4 years, come about, and then they move back in. It wasn't about the relaying of the Central Vista at a time when the economy had tanked 3.7%, by the way, and then work goes on. Precious money is spent not in the pandemic and dealing with the problem of migrant labor, but 20,000 crores is spent at a time when there is a lockdown in building what is called this vanity project. I told you about the deeper historicization which goes on,
but I just want to clarify, call it the vanity project. You know, the delegates from across the globe, the Prime Minister, the heads of the states, they visit the Rashtrapati Bhavan, they visit the Parliament. This is actually a reflection of our country. This is the reflection of our democracy. This is the reflection of what India stands for. And Alok Mehta, would you agree to what Anshul has to say with regards to the time when this project was inaugurated and there was a lot of hoopla saying that this is the pandemic era? Inflation, there is this GDP growth is at an all-time low. There is inflation. People are facing so many problems. We want the funds for the immediate, important emergency problems. Why the funds are being pushed for this so-called vanity project when it could be perhaps shifted to a next date, maybe in 2022?
Megha, what we understand, this kind of budget is a separate budget for normal budget. For emergency purpose also they provided this different budget. So I can understand, maybe if the government wanted to do suspend this program, they could have done. But I think because they had this separate budget, they had the plan, and especially you see the other part. In this COVID crisis, labor were working, engineers were working. Maybe a few weeks they were not working because it was totally stopped. But otherwise, you see the employment, number of government projects. Recently I was in Madhya Pradesh too, and there the contractor was there, somebody, and he was telling me that because the whole COVID period we were working because of the government project was going on, water supply or this flyover and everything. So I think this also generate the economy, also generate for labor. If there is not crisis in some area, is a protected area. If they are living there, they are looking after their health and everything. If it depends on the contractor also. Maybe something happened, but that's why I'm saying one should not stop. That is the success of India. We were all working. Our media person or everybody, parliamentarian, maybe some lack of problems are there. What happened in the United States or United Kingdom, all over the world, people were suffering. But here, at least, one should give credit, apart from politics. Again, said, can we stop? They should have gone protesting there itself.
Yeah.
Congress party is such a big party, crores and crores members there. They should have stopped on the parliamentary street. What they were going, Rahul Gandhi and Sonia and all the leaders, if they would just sit there and say, okay, we don't want. But I was going in these, every day. Parliament was also on. People were attending. Congress members were also attending. So, but just talking as a politics, then we can't.
Doesn't solve any purpose. But I'll quickly come to Joyita for a closing comment, and I'll again raise this point. You know, the Parliament, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, they are symbols of pride for our country. And I mentioned this again. You know, leaders from across the globe visit this particular area, and Central Vista then becomes a moment of pride, a symbol of pride, a symbol of nationalism, what the country stands for, what the constitution stands for, what our democracy stands for. And you know, visuals on our screens just a while ago showcased, you know, those pan stains, and the pipes are leaking, the roof is falling apart, as has been mentioned, examples have been given by our other panelists as well. So there was definitely a need for an upkeep and modification and renovation of this area. So would it be wrong to allocate the amount of funds that have been allocated to refurbish what we call the temple of democracy, what we call where the constitution is kept, where debates happen, where our members of the parliament raise points, oppose each other, deliberate and bills are passed?
Megha, first of all, in a huge democracy like India, we need smaller parliamentary seats, because it's next to impossible, and this is a demand not just from BJP MPs, even Congress MPs have been making the demand in terms of parliamentary seats should be smaller so that they can be managed better. Now, when it comes to that, so automatically when we are talking about increasing the number of parliamentary seats, the capacity of the parliament is such that there is no way that you can make, if you increase the number of people, you cannot make them sit in the particular parliament. Of course, number two, there is this need for refurbishment, and most importantly, you know, Megha, even if we spend say 20,000 crores in this project, even if we spend maybe 30,000 crore, how much is it? I mean, look at it in terms of price of a flat in Delhi, it is about 20-25 crores. Okay, so it is basically the cost of maybe somewhere near Vasant Kunj and these areas, the flats cost around 20-25 crores. So what we are looking at is maybe 100 or maybe even 1,000 flats we are talking about. I mean, this is peanuts for a government's budget and all. This expenditure is peanuts, and think of it in terms of the employment it is generating in this particular period because of the construction. So this, I mean, carping about non-stop carping about we being poor country while our leaders and our opposition leaders fly around in private jets. Sorry, it does not work like that.
Okay, all right. I'm completely out of time. I thank my panelists for joining me on the broadcast and sharing their analysis and views on this very important landmark development that the country is going to witness come October 2022, or perhaps even before that, when the parliament building gets launched. On that note, I thank my guests, I thank my audiences for watching us on NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.